everybody? Paul Hickey here with Data Driven Design and the Nashville Voice Conference. I'm here at Project Voice with the Q Harrison Terry and Braden Ream, CEO of Voiceflow. We're pumped to talk to you today.
Nice.
Thanks for being on, man.
Yeah, happy to be here.
It's been a while,
so,
Braden.
Tell me about the 2-year history together. I want to know that first. How do you guys know each other?
Do you want to take this or should I?
I guess I can go. So, Braden is one of the few. How old are you? You're like 20?
22.
You're 22. Yeah, so Braden's like one of the few like 22-year-olds that is a pioneer in voice. And I was doing some research in the world of voice for Mark Cuban because he's a notable figure and super interested in just Alexa and just the conversational interface paradigm at large. And you were a guy that just kept coming up. And so I was like, what's up? And then we became kind of, friends, and we've been on a podcast, and you've been on Inevitable Human, and then we've been a lot of iMessage,
a lot of texting,
And this is actually our first time in person, so that's how.
Really? So similar to you with a lot of other people like myself.
Yeah,
I mean that's Q Harrison Terry for you right there.
That's the story.
Well, I want to say thank you to Braden because I'm a super user of Voiceflow. I run a digital agency, and Braden has done an amazing job with his team.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Creating a product that content creators and developers can use to collaborate and bring a lot of value to businesses.
You're the CEO.
Yeah.
He's a super user. What does Voiceflow do when you're in front of a super user?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
How do you change this man's life?
I've already given Paul drink tickets for tonight, social. I've got, stickers.
That's all you got? You're
You're
Braden. Call your watch or something, man.
We're going to do a t-shirt swap, I think.
You don't know this guy.
Yeah.
He's like Iron Man at his office. Like when he walks into the office, literally all his lights come on, and then when he walks
Dude,
out,
I've seen pictures of his office.
Yeah, his office is like...
His office is sick.
Yeah, it's nice.
His
It's a
office-
little run down in person, but it's nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice.
But his office could change your life. So I know you've got like the super suit.
Yeah. I'll tell you the funny story how we met Q. We had maybe a couple thousand users at this point, and I saw someone come on with Mark Cuban Companies as their email domain. And I'm thinking, all right, so I'm going to reach out to this guy. We're going to get an enterprise contract right here. And we reached out to Q, and it ended up not being a sales conversation. We ended up just sort of hanging out and building things together and learning. And you guys were using Voiceflow right in the early days when it was still not almost as buggy as it is today, but
No, I mean it was
a little bit worse.
It was not as buggy as building your own, because I was coding apps prior to that, right? And so I remember I would get a JSON library. I would have Sketch open, I'd have Sketch open. I'd have Sublime text open.
Yeah.
I would have all my libraries and JSON templates going. And I would literally start here, move over here, move out there.
Yeah.
And then Adobe XD existed, and then there was this tool called Voiceflow.
Yeah.
And that's when I became a super user because it was I could do all of that.
Yeah.
Or I could just be like, woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're adding features. Can you talk about how fast you're adding features and what decision, how take us through the decision-making process on that?
Yeah. So typically when we're trying to add a feature, we think first off how many users is this going to affect, and how deeply is it going to affect them, right? That's sort of the really simple formula. If it's going to be a small button change that's going to affect 10,000 users, that's going to have very shallow impact, but very wide distribution. So that's something we might do that might make it onto the roadmap. Okay. Something like real-time collaboration for the couple of teams that really need that feature, it's deeply impactful. It's not going to affect as many users, but it has that really deep impact. And so that's typically how we go about it.
Okay.
When we think about our market, it's individuals, teams, and teams of teams, like enterprises, right?
Okay.
And that's how we sort of make sure we're putting features in each of those buckets every sprint.
Okay.
Yeah. Walk a bit backwards. You're 22. You're a worldwide entrepreneur at this point because you've got users in Japan. You've got users in Canada. You've got users in the U.S. and Chattanooga, Tennessee.
In Spain.
In Spain.
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur. A lot of entrepreneurs never hit that accolade where their product is being used internationally across borders. But at the same time, you also think about the user experience at its fullest extent. Who is this going to impact and why it's going to impact? Yeah. Tell us a bit about how you got here and that journey in itself.
Yeah, I mean, first off, we have an incredible team, and I do very little when it comes to some of the folks on our team who either leading growth or making content, or we wouldn't be anywhere without the team. In terms of how we got here, though, we were just building voice apps ourselves. So we were building Storyflow, which was interactive children's stories. And when we were building that, we were trying all these other tools, because on our team of 4 at that time, only a couple of us were coders, right? And so we tried all the other no-code tools out there, and we just were frustrated by them. We didn't like, they either weren't powerful enough and they couldn't allow us to do everything, or they were too hard to use. So we decided to build our own tools, and fast forward about a year of building internal tools and things, that ended up just becoming Voiceflow.
But then, I mean, again, a guy that's 22, 4 guys in a bedroom writing children's stories, how do you go from...
It wasn't as glamorous when we dropped out of college, and our parents said, okay, at least what's the big idea? We said interactive children's stories on Alexa. My dad actually cried.
I'm sure. Like, I mean, you were 19 at that point?
I think just 20, yeah.
So you're 20, and you're like, Dad, I'm about to thug it out with these children's stories. We're about to hustle children's stories.
Yeah.
Imagine you being your kid telling you that.
Yeah.
You probably would cry too.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm also going to need to live in the basement for a bit.
See, you're thugging it. That's what we call thugging it in America.
Yeah.
You know about the thug lifestyle?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had to thug to get here, not
Yeah.
children's stories. You're at a whole new level.
Yeah.
But I do want to. I mean, you went from like thugging children's stories and just like saying, "Hey, buy my children's story on Alexa."
Yeah.
It's not even his own. Like, he was on Alexis. Like, that's to getting on the radar of like a Mark Cuban and then a Ryan Hoover.
Yeah.
And like now, even Amazon invested in you.
Yeah.
What the hell, man? How?
It was pretty crazy. So when we started, there wasn't actually high enough Alexa adoption in Canada yet. We were still single digits. No one had Alexas, and so we would actually
Go figure.
As part of the subscription to our children's story service, we'd bike it to you every single Thursday. We'd get on our bikes, bike around Toronto. We'd drop off an Alexa device with the printed stories for that week, and then we did that for a couple months.
That's called thugging it. That's what thugs do. Like,
That's called bad business model, but it's thugging it too.
You think thugs have great business models?
It's true.
Okay.
True,
then-
Distributing hardware to people so that they can listen to the children.
At least it's legal, though, right?
If you look at my Alexa app, I have about maybe 14 devices still in there. You have the parents who are at home, and they still have them. We never got them back. And so they're still running on my Alexa account. And so they'll change my Spotify at random still. So I had to get a new Spotify.
So you hooked them up for them so they could use it.
Yeah, because otherwise no one had Alexa. So we have to
Yeah.
drive the adoption ourselves.
So, but still, I mean, like, you went from thugging it to like Amazon investing in you. I mean, even Ryan Hoover, like the guy that's like the champion from No Code Solutions.
Yeah.
The guy that inspired Paul to like find voice. That's how you found.
Oh, you found
Voiceflow,
Well, no,
right?
I found Voiceflow through a Medium.com article on how to build Alexa skills without coding.
Yeah, that was Ryan.
And at the
That's
time,
Ryan
it was
Hoover.
okay. And at the time, it was Storyflow.
Yeah.
So.
Oh wow, you're really early.
Yeah, I looked into it then,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel like it had the reliability factor to actually publish to the developer console
Yeah.
yet. So I kind of held back, and then a year later, I came back, and the domain redirected me to voiceflow.com.
Yeah.
Time to try it, and sure enough, like it was
better.
it was almost perfect.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Still lots of changes to make. We have a lot of things coming out.
I mean, we won't talk about that. You
Yeah.
still didn't answer the question. Like, where do you go from like thugging children's stories, interactive, to like raising?
It's just the way I describe entrepreneurship to people is it's like you're in like a minivan race and you've got all your best friends in the back and you're driving blindfolded. And the destination keeps changing, and you hear there might be a cliff ahead, but there might also be a bridge. You have to have so much faith that there's going to be a bridge. You have to tell everyone in the back of the van that there's going to be a bridge, but you don't really know. But you just have to keep going, and you're in a race. You got to get there first, right? So you're stepping on the gas, but you don't know if there's a bridge.
It sounds like
That's entrepreneurship. It's just every single day, persistence, and having faith in your team and not faith in the idea. That's a really key thing, because I think a lot of teams quit when they have faith in the idea, right?
Okay.
Because then the idea will change, but the team shouldn't. And so if you have faith in your team, then you're going to figure it out regardless.
you answered my question.
He's 22, man.
I mean, he's 22. Yeah,
He's
no.
killing it.
Like, yeah, and I mean, now he's got Amazon behind him. He's got
Yep.
Bezos behind him. Like,
Yeah. It's been a really cool experience.
yeah.
In the meantime, you're helping a lot of people, and you're real about your product and very authentic, and I think it comes through.
I mean,
That's
for the
great.
people that don't know Voiceflow, if you wanted to build a skill and you're beyond like Alexa blueprints, can we talk about that? Like,
Yeah.
you're in the same suite now, like you're in the same building, so they're probably like it used to be competition, now they're like Fisher Price, and you're like the
totally different,
the McGraw Hill now.
different users, right? So Voiceflow focuses on folks who want to build really complex Alexa skills,
Right.
or folks who want to build cross-platform, right? I want to do Google. I eventually want to do Bixby or Cortana. And that's where Voiceflow allows you to have a central hub for all of your conversational apps and not just Alexa. And that's where the Blueprints is really good. We send people to Blueprints for really simple sort of QA type skills.
And so I think the way I look at it, right, is if I were to build a website, I can hard code it, I can go to WordPress, or I could go thug it out on Squarespace, Wix, or whatever seriously, Voiceflow, the way I look at it is it's like the WordPress of voice. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, but I would say that in the respect that you can use Voiceflow to as an agency or as a developer to really bring down the cost of what a custom skill might have been to a small business, and that's why it's the Voiceflow or the WordPress of the voice world. I would say that Voiceflow is more robust though, because you've got the ability for content people and coders to collaborate.
Yeah.
And my experience is that WordPress, as a content creator, developers don't necessarily like to collaborate with me in WordPress, but in Voiceflow, we've got Joe Wallace, our CTO over here. I mean, he was actually the first one to say, let's try to rebuild our Ask Data Driven Design skill that he custom coded. Let's try to rebuild that in Voiceflow.
Oh, cool.
Because I can come in and do the content piece, and then Joe can come in and do some of the API integration.
Did that work?
We're in progress right now, but it's going to work. For
Nice.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Braden, at large, we're closing out. 2020 just started. You see pretty much all voice happenings, things, people call you and like, this is what I want to do, how to do it. What is your take for 2020? What's happening in voice? What has you up at night? Like, where are we going?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more independent voice assistants. I think, the BBC announced theirs last year with the Beeb. I know there's a lot of automobile manufacturers are now looking at using SoundHound and creating their own voice assistant. So we might start to see a bit of a fracturing. But what will be really cool is that it gives an opportunity for developers to use Voiceflow and sort of maintain a consistent visual interface, but still be able to access many, many, many platforms. So I think that might happen in 2020, and I think voice commerce is going to become more of a thing too. I think the Amazon Pay has been being pushed hard. They're trying to reduce the friction on how to actually get on there.
Are you integrated with Amazon Pay?
Not yet, but we've been chatting with Amazon about things like that, and I think this is going to be the year where at the latter half of it, you're going to start to see more voice app adoption. I don't think this is the definitive year, but I think we're starting on the uptick. It'll be a couple years though.
That's fair. All right. Well, Paul, I'm done.
Awesome.
I'm
good. Appreciate your time, Braden.
Yeah, man.
And keep doing what you're doing. Good things are going to happen.
It's always lovely chatting with you. We will catch you all in the future.
Cool. Thanks for having me.